Welcome to the Viking Voices podcast. I'm Jaden Babiuk. Not sure what episode this is. I think we're working on episode 14. This is the first episode of 2025. Second semester here. A little bit of getting used to the schedule, along with a bit of sickness, delayed the first episode of 2025. But we are here. We're here with assistant baseball coach Jonathon Thornhill. JT, thank you for joining us on the podcast.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for I guess us not being sick up to this point. So thanks for having me.
Well, we didn't want to have you on the first semester because baseball doesn't really happen until the spring.
Yep.
But now we can kind of get into some stuff. First, I'm going to ask you, tell us a bit about yourself, your name, where you're from, how you kind of got into coaching, your baseball background. We're going to go through it in depth, but if you want to give the people just a bit of JT. Start it off.
No, I'm originally from California, lived there pretty much my whole life. I was born in Fort Riley, Kansas, believe it or not. Don't remember much about Fort Riley at all. My mom tells me all the time, you got to go back there. I'm like, I've heard there's nothing there. So no disrespect to Fort Riley, but I don't remember anything about it. But then we moved to New Mexico for a little bit, moved to Texas. Then California was home for basically school, childhood, and growing up and whatnot, and been there ever since. And that's kind of where the coaching path dove into, was Little League through Babe Ruth, high school, and then got the fortunate opportunity through the college ranks and realm. And like you said, we'll dive into. But unfortunately, sports-wise, from a fanatic standpoint, all my teams are terrible. My A's are bad, my Raiders are bad, and my Sharks are bad. So it's just a trifecta. But we're still loyal. We're stoked they're going to Vegas. I'm excited for the A's. So maybe the Sharks might move and they'll get better. I don't know. Who knows? But nonetheless, it's been fun. So
well, bright future with that team, but you got to respect the loyalty on all three fronts
yeah.
because that's a couple tough histories. At least the Sharks have had some success in the 2010s, but it's been bleak for the last few years.
Yes, and the A's most significant recent has to be probably the 20-game win streak in Moneyball fiasco, which is a great movie, and the Game 163 where Josh Hamilton dropped the fly ball in center field and we went berserk. I was at that game. That was a good time. Me and my buddy Kyle Tognazini went to that one, so that was a good time.
Right on. Yeah, well, at least you can watch that Moneyball on repeat. It's obviously Brad Pitt playing Billy Bean, but yeah. So I guess let's start at the beginning. Obviously, baseball background. Growing up, obviously playing baseball. Tell us kind of what the playing career looked like.
Well, just like your standard, sports fanatic growing up, you want to play to the highest level possible. Played through Little League, dove into Pop Warner football for a year or two, and got to high school and played it for 3 years and was like, this isn't me. And then finally went to JUCO for a year, Porterville College, went there for a year, and then after that season of pitching, I was a PO there, believe it or not, hitting coach here, but PO when I played, and after my first year there at Porterville, I looked at Coach Kaiser, who was our head coach, and I said, I'm not going anywhere past this. So respectfully appreciated his time. I've learned a lot that I talk about discipline-wise and whatnot is stemming from him and what he brought to the table. He's now the athletic director at LD Monte High School there in Visalia, and got a chance to coach against him as a high school coach, which was cool. But nonetheless, played there at Porterville for a year, and then said that was it, went back home, and then jumped in the coaching realm. And so from the playing aspect, it was the whole first and third pitcher, and just dad coached me freshman year as an assistant, and those memories you talk about and whatnot as a kid growing up is it's fun. It's a good time. It was a lot of fun for sure. Don't regret any of it. Don't regret any of it at all. And then led it into coaching, and that's where we're at today. So
a little question here. It's not on my sheet, but how did being a pitcher allow you to, well, let me rephrase that. You being a pitcher.
Yep.
How do you get into coaching hitting after you're a pitcher? Is it the weaknesses that you can exploit from the pitching side, or just the all-around kind of knowledge of the game that you have?
Yeah, I think it's both realistically, in the aspect of it allows you to broaden your horizon and being able to kind of see both from a mechanical standpoint. But Tim Brown, who was the head coach of the Orange County Riptide in a summer stint that I got hired for there, he saw the background, and I thought I was getting hired for like a pitching assistant or pitching coach or something. And he told me, no, I want you to utilize that as a way to get our hitters out. How would you get them out as a pitcher? And when he flipped my mindset on that, that's kind of where I've taken it, ran with it, if that makes sense. And like the drills we do, like, hey, if I see this in you, I'm telling the pitcher to attack you this way because it's going to exploit your weaknesses as a hitter. We still want to signify and solidify those strengths, but we want to build on those weaknesses too. So I think the big shout out to Tim Brown there was recognizing that, seeing it, and kind of introducing me to that philosophy for it. And like you said, it kind of helps you become more well-rounded on, hey, this is a pitcher's mechanical side as well as what they're flying too open, too much grip or too much pressure on a pitch per se, tipping their pitches. The guys are talking about it in lives now, like a couple of guys are tipping them. So just being able to have that mindset just indoors when we're doing this now allows for when it comes to game time, it's a lot easier for them to adjust to. So it was definitely a transition period. I didn't think, as someone you feel you go in as college and you play that position, that's going to be the area you quote unquote coach in, but that switch definitely helped. And the big side of it was the mental side. And I think that both any player, any student athlete, the mental side is a struggle. You guys got so much going on right now with outside of the sports you're playing. This is any sport, football, basketball, golf, baseball, softball, all of it. The mental side's stressful. You guys got classes, you got your social life, you got family. That some people are here from Alaska, which is phenomenal, from Hawaii, which is phenomenal. And I thought I was here from a distance, and I hear people here from Alaska and Hawaii. I was like, this is crazy. This is awesome. But just being able to manage that mentality of, hey, yeah, I'm a student athlete. It's a lot, but if you can find that calming mechanism, keeping it balanced and staying within yourself and having a good time while enjoying it is the big thing. Is going to help you be successful and enjoy the 4 years that you're at your respective schools. So it's great.
Absolutely, and yeah, certainly tough if you don't enjoy the sport you're playing. Obviously, like you said, a full plate of responsibilities on the day to day, and for a lot of us, that sport is, and even probably for you sometimes, that like the sport itself, like going to play those games, going to practice, it's the escape from all the noise, all the paperwork, all that stuff. So yeah, it's really nice. It's a privilege what we get to do here. Would love to kind of dive in more of that hitting coaching aspect. You've obviously coached at the high school level. You've coached Babe Ruth. You've coached college. You've coached collegiate summer ball. You've kind of been all over the map. Let's go the difference between high school hitting coach and a college hitting coach. Are there some things that, okay, college is the next level, or is it pretty much kind of across the board, this is what we need to get done?
Yeah, I think that it's kind of based on where you're at. In San Luis Obispo County, which is where I was at Atascadero High School for a year and then Paso Robles for 4, we were in a very good area where baseball was pretty sound, pretty competitive. And that's not a knock on other areas. That's just kind of how it works with larger schools. Like, for example, LA, San Diego, there's a ton of schools, so the talent pool is a lot larger. We were about 3 hours north of there. And Valley, Fresno, Bakersfield, Central Valley are 2 hours east of us. So we travel to them consistently. So the competition was great. I think the biggest leap that I faced that I wish I would have known at the high school level that I learned while being at the college level was that no matter what level you're at, all of you guys are human beings. And I thought that when I got that head coaching job at the high school level, at a younger age, I was mid-20s, win, right? That's all it's about. And so you preface practice and all this stuff about, we got to do this because we have to win. Everybody wants to win, right? And so I think the flipping that switch and getting to the college aspect and having that be the way to educate me on, you guys got so much more going on outside. Mm-hmm. That if I put this more pressure on you at practice or this more pressure on you in regards to this, that, the other, I'm going to get mad at you for not executing because you're putting all this pressure on yourself that I inflicted. Mm-hmm. And so that's not fair. I'm setting you up to fail. Now, we are in a game that is failure. 7 out of 10 times you fail, you're still considered a Hall of Famer, and it's awesome. It's great. Like we talk about at hitting groups, you're allowed to fail in there. Come in there and fail all you want, because that's what it's there for. It's to exploit your weaknesses like we talked about. But at the same time, you got to enjoy it too because that's part of the game. Mm-hmm. And as much as all of us want to be this perfectionist in these sports that we do, you're not going to be. And so I think the biggest thing that allowed me to quote unquote grow up or mature in that was just simply understanding that no matter what level, 10-year-olds, high school, college, they're all human beings. And when you have an understanding of those human beings and what their tendencies are, what their personalities are like, how you can communicate with them and they can communicate with you, it makes things a lot easier to have them buy in as well as them getting better like they want to per se. And then most importantly, they have fun. And when you're having fun, like you said, it just makes it so much easier to show up to the ball field every day type deal. So
absolutely. I'd love you to bring us through all three kind of phases, starting with Babe Ruth.
Okay.
What was that like? What did you learn from it? How was that experience? Obviously, just tell us about maybe some of the teams you coached, some of the highlights, and we'll go through kind of all levels
Yeah.
that you've seen.
No, absolutely. I'll probably include Little League with Babe Ruth if that's
of
okay.
course.
I say this in the most nicest way possible to all the college athletes, but Little League was the funnest time I've ever coached, and simply because I was just telling this story to admissions with Maddie and Tony and Oscar in there, and you got 10 to 12-year-olds that just literally you get to show up and play baseball. There's no bills. There's no drama. There's nothing. It's just I get to show up. Mom and dad drop me off, and I'm playing with my buddy, type deal. And it's just it's at the ball field. Little League was definitely the funnest. We were the A's, of course, and it was so much fun. One of the dads he went to an A's game a weekend before one of our games, and he brought back this big foam athletics hat. And I'm wearing it at third base and doing book at the same time, just stuff like that. And these guys, William Lors, Wyatt DeBusk, Corey Delisle, Lane Burks, like these guys, those are their names. And Wyatt DeBusk, this short little guy, and he's 12 years old, but he's shorter for his age, but he's swinging this long yellow bat that he has no business swinging, and he's going up there hitting C's. I'm like, well, whatever works for you, dude. Good job, So Little League for me, it got my foot in the door in the aspect of coaching a little bit, and I had an absolute blast with it. Did umpiring for him as well, and it was a good time. And then going up to college or Babe Ruth, kind of simultaneously the same thing. Just a step above those guys, and you got to deal more with hey, that's a balk. Hey, you pick off. Hey, you hold the runners here. And you kind of got more in depth with it a little bit, and just again going back to understanding your age group and how you communicate with them in regards to that. So. High school was definitely when you talk about competing, that was the first taste of like, hey, we're here to win type deal. The pressure from the administration and so on and so forth. But the biggest thing is just the grade aspect. What do our grades look like? And guys aren't transferring, quote unquote, in an inter-district transfer situation, and providing a program that they wanted to be in. And we were very fortunate. So I was at Atascadero. That was my first varsity head coaching job, and our rivals were Paso Robles High School. We went to Paso for a 3-game set. We played Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday was our league series and how that worked. So Tuesday, Friday was our place. Wednesday was at their place. Paso Robles High School's field was hands down one of the most beautiful fields for a high school baseball field in about a 300-mile radius.
And you remember you showing me
it
nice
was
field.
Phenomenal.
Yes.
And so my dad and I my dad was a scorekeeper for me. And so when he could come out, he'd be in the dugout with us, everything. He loved it. Good father-son moment. It was great. And him and I are looking at the field from the third base dugout because when Paso, their home team, they'd be first base dugout. So we're third base dugout, and I'm looking at the field. Our guys are stretching left field, and I look at the field. And I go, Dad, could you imagine if this was ours? Like, this is amazing. Like, just it was beautiful. Sure enough, next year got the job there. But the crazy part about that whole scenario is it kind of added fuel to the rivalry because I was at Atascadero the year before. We swept Paso, and their head coach, Derek Stroud, Dewey Stroud was his brother, his assistant. They were there for 20 years, and Derek Stroud was a product of minor league baseball in the Angels organization as a pitcher. So utmost respect for that guy. And he comes shaking our hands after. He goes, "Way to take it to us this week, JT." It was like the ultimate compliment type deal. The boys were fired up. It was just a great rivalry series. They had Jacob Wright on the bump as a freshman. We had Justin Vos, both lefties, and Jacob Wright, who just got drafted by the Dodgers this past draft. So just firepower going at each other was great stuff. And so that was fun. But you hear people talk about at high school that, the parents this, the parents that, this, that. And I'm just like, fortunate for me, I don't know if it's because I just had a great group of parents for 4 years, but it was very blunt, direct. And so I told the parents at their meeting every year, I said, look, I don't have a problem with you coming and talking to me. We can have conversations just like this. But if you bring up any playing time, respectfully, we're not going to have this conversation. Your athlete needs to come talk to me if they have an issue with it. And I think that understanding, that communication, right? Having that communication line and being approachable, being able to have that quote unquote, there might be an upset parent, understanding why they're upset, all that in one allows for that communication to be so much clearer, understanding of one another. Hey, this is how he thinks, this is how this parent thinks, so on and so forth. And it made it a lot easier. So, and then jumping to the college realm, really hasn't changed much, if I'm being honest. I think the biggest difference between college and high school is that in college, you are surrounded by athletes who want to be here every day, who choose to be here every day. And that's a funny story in itself. We had a high schooler as a freshman whose parents paid him if he played the whole season. I'm not kidding. They gave him $5,000 and a brand new car because he played baseball for a whole year. I'm like, first of all, a car.
Yeah.
You can't even drive yet.
Yeah.
You know? But anywho, it was absurd. So things like that.
Yeah.
And, I'm playing because, Bobby's playing or Johnny's playing and I just want to be with them, but they don't care as much as some of these other guys who are taking it as a step to further their career and what they choose to do in life. So all in all, in comparison, everybody enjoys it. It's a good time. That's the number one thing I've seen. And the second part is if you're wanting to be here. Nobody's forcing you to be here. You choose to be here. And, that's why it's exciting. We get our hitting groups, we get our team D, all that stuff. Everybody's choosing to be there. And if you're choosing to be there, why would you not put the work in? If you're forced to be here, maybe let's have a different conversation. So it's been great.
Yeah. Well, I love that taking us through the kind of the ways. So obviously you coach in California.
Yep.
You coach in North Dakota, and a quick stint in Missouri.
Yep.
What was your favorite travel situation?
Put me on the spot here
I
don't say North Dakota. The drive here was great. Don't get me wrong. Went through was it Colorado, Utah, all that stuff.
Yeah.
It would actually have to be here because I flew to Missouri, and then Coach Jourdain, the head coach, picked me up from the airport. So that was a simple flight type deal. Both in itself have their own pros and cons, right? Type deal. Out here, everybody says, well, there's nothing out there. Well, you got Fargo 45 minutes away. You got Jamestown 30 minutes away. And realistically, for me, I love the quiet community we have here. And it's easy to, I get what I need within town, especially the food. We got El Valle now. Shout out to them. Got to give it to them. They're great. Kieran House is good. We go there with the guys, right, and grab meals. Bridges is good. There's still stuff here that you get what you need. So, all in all, it's, I think, kind of each in their own. It's a pro and con, but the pros definitely outweigh the cons. But the drive up here was great. Stayed in Salt Lake City, Utah. Their roads are terrible, by the way.
Okay.
If you ever drive in Salt Lake City, the highway roads are absolutely atrocious. I thought California was bad. Salt Lake City's terrible. There's your random fact of the day for you. So
the perfect time to share it, right? Following up with that, you said the community in Valley City.
Yep.
Obviously, you mentioned the 2 restaurant. What else here is just do you love here in Valley City? What makes the community so special? And even from a university perspective, the support that you feel as an assistant coach here.
Well, I had a fortunate opportunity to be here this summer and kind of watch the Legion aspect of things because here Legion ball is huge in this region as well as some others in the respective areas. Back home, it was simply just travel ball and summer ball, right? It wasn't as concise, and obviously the weather plays a factor into that because their spring season is shortened, so their Legion ball carries over. So I got a chance to interact with a lot of the local coaches. Seth Soderholm for VC's great dude, great people, and his staff. But I think just overall the support is just phenomenal. And I don't say that just to say that. It's even at high school, you don't have the support sometimes. There were some times where it was tough for as a head coach or even an assistant. It's tough to, hey, who do I go talk to? Well, they don't really give me this, or they don't help with this. Here, I literally, when players reach out and ask questions like, hey, I need help with this, it's easy to say, academic stuff, let's go see Melissa. Let's go see Kayleen Peterson. Let's go talk with them and see if we can put you on an academic plan, allow you to be successful. And they're phenomenal. I don't even have to, there's no micromanaging. It's, hey, Melissa, I'm going to send so-and-so, or hey, Kayleen, I'm going to send so-and-so. They're going to come talk to you. And they get a plan going, and then I go check in every once in a while, and if their grades are slipping, we have that conversation. So Kayleen and Melissa are outstanding support staff for our academic side of things. Erin and her team in admissions, enrollment services for tours, visits, Oscar, Aaron, Tony, Brady, Jacob, and Maddie, Kayla, all of them in there with tours and whatnot. Phenomenal. Communicate. It's great. Shannon with registrar. Awesome. Dave Bass. I could keep going. The support staff is actually, they care and they show it, and they genuinely love the students. And when you have that mindset, it not only makes it easier from quote unquote, you want to get everybody you can possible from a recruiting standpoint to be here. But when they're actually here and they're from Alaska, from Hawaii, or wherever, long distance, this is going to be their home for 8 months. Let's genuinely make it feel like a home. And they do. And it's so nice. It's great. So there's very little bad things to say, because anytime I've needed something from anybody from a support staff standpoint with the administration, it's been outstanding, and our players love them. I can name off about 12 players right now that easily would have the same thing to say about them because how much a great support staff they've been. So it's great to see and great to be a part of.
Yeah, absolutely. And you mentioned Shannon, who was a guest on this podcast earlier, and always takes care of my paperwork. I got a lot because I'm Canadian, so she's a big help to me. Let's talk a little bit You talked about the Orange County Riptide.
Yep.
You're a summer ball coach there. Bring us through that, and then we're going to get into a little endeavor you're about to go to, your first time in Canada. But start in Orange County.
Orange County was phenomenal. I had the fortunate pleasure of Covington Lumberjacks for a small stint of summer collegiate ball in the Valley
Covington, California?
Virginia.
So close. So
It's-
close.
You're there,
Oh.
within a couple miles.
Yeah. Couple countries.
Yeah, exactly. But Covington, Virginia was the Valley Baseball League, and Alex Kohlheimer, Pete Kohlheimer was our varsity head coach. His son took the job, and so he asked me to go out there, and so that was fun. But the Orange County Riptide, the California Collegiate League, was just a huge difference in regards to the setup, the organization, and the skill level that was there. And that's not a knock on the Valley Baseball League or those guys that went there. Every collegiate summer league has their taste of what skill level comes in and goes out type deal. But the California Collegiate League, I mean, Newport Beach, Orange County, you can't, I mean, in the summer, you kidding me? Yeah, sure, why not, you know?
Easy sell.
Exactly. So it was beautiful weather. I can't complain. But the biggest thing was getting to work with guys who are at the office, quote unquote, as athletes every day in D1 institutions. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't so much me, quote unquote, teaching them or coaching them or whatnot. It was me learning from them a lot. So we had to get Nathan Smith was a catcher, backup catcher at University of Tennessee right before they went on this tear that they've been on. And so picking his brain on what his coach was like, what their practices were like. Is he actually like that, or is that just for TV, you know? And just hearing that. T.C. Simmons, University of Connecticut outfielder, was our starting outfielder with Riptide. Phenomenal mindset. IQ is great. Love talking with him all the time. Pitcher Matthew Maloney, he was at UNLV. He's now at Point Loma and finishing his final year. But that guy, when he got on the mound, I mean, let me tell you, he's got TikToks of him doing bullpen mound reviews and saying this is a good quality mounder, this is not 7 out of 10.
Oh, yes. I know
that's
you're
my guy right
about.
there.
Okay.
He would wear a USA headband and cut off shirt.
He always have something with every bullpen. He always
That's my guy. Matt Maloney. His birthday was last week, by the way. But anywho,
happy birthday, Matt.
Yeah,
Maloney.
exactly. But he's now at Point Loma with Joey Nicolai. Joey Nicolai was our first baseman. He was originally at a UC school there as well. But just getting to work with those guys, and not so much me teaching them. I did a lot of mental stuff with them, not a lot of mechanical stuff, simply because their respective schools, they have their processes they have with them and whatnot. But it was more so, like I said, what do you guys do at your program that you like? If you had to give advice, because at the time I was still at the high school level, if you had to give advice to any high schoolers, what would it be? Now that you've experienced this, you know, what would you tell them? What was your recruiting life like? You know, because everybody gets excited, but it's draining. You know, you got all these schools coming at you in some cases, or some cases you don't. You're kind of like, you're distraught, you know. Every situation in the recruiting field's a distraught one. It's pressured, but nonetheless, the experience itself, there's not a coaching scenario right now where I'd look back and go, I would never do it again type deal, because every single scenario, good or bad, allows you to grow and you learn from it type deal. So
absolutely. And I think that's the thing about summer ball, and maybe not necessarily in that league, because that league sounds like it's stacked from head to toe, but a lot of summer ball leagues, you have D1 guys with JUCO guys and stuff. And, you know, I know for myself as, you know, a smaller NAIA guy, it was nice to talk to those guys that are at powerhouse D2s and D1s, and, you know, what the day-to-day looks like, and, you know, how you get to that level. But continuing on about summer ball, you're about to go up to Canada. It's a small city. Oh, I can't remember what it's called. Medicine Hat or something. To coach the Mavericks, the head coach job there. Any expectations? Any thoughts? You've never been to Canada. So what are your expectations first, you know, for your first summer ball head gig? Because you were the head coach with the Riptide, or an assistant?
No, assistant. This is
first head gig.
Correct,
okay.
Yes.
I did my homework.
Yep.
So what are your expectations for your first summer ball head gig, and then what are your expectations for my home country of Canada?
Well, as far as head gig, it's realistically a lot. I mean, it won't change for me personally, if I'm being honest, and that you could say is a humble answer or not. But like, I'm Greg Borson. Just talking with him in the short times we've talked since the interview process and whatnot, he's been already a huge asset, and hey, I'll help you with this, I'll help with this, and how involved he is. It's great. So, you know, going up there, it's a guy who's been there, done that, AAA ball. Like, I mean, he was successful. Yep. So you get to learn from him on not only how to manage, but hitting stuff. Like, little kid in the candy store right now. So really excited for that. Getting to work with Caesar, who played for Med Hat, right, pitching coach, and then Ryan, third base coach, more than likely. I mean, Mid America Christian, they're number 13 in the country right now in NAIA, and they started off this past weekend. So, Coach Pig, as you guys call him.
Yep.
So I've already we had a Zoom meeting a couple weeks ago, got to see him and, saw his personality a little bit. But nonetheless, I mean, anything, like I said, fun. It's going to be a good time, I think. And obviously winning makes everything a lot more fun, right? But again, when you're bringing people away from their homes and into an environment for 2 months or 8 months, you want it to be a good memory for them. And I think that's why it's exciting for Mo too, because it's a situation where he grew up there, he's from there, he wants to bring this all back for Medhat and do good for the city. And I think that's what makes it so much more exciting too, is that his influence, his passion for it is going to feed off on everybody else. And so far in those conversations we've had, it's been outstanding. So expectations for Medhat. Well, I hear it's the sunniest city in Canada. 330 days, I think, out of the year. It's sunny. So then that means little to no rainouts or reschedules, which is nice because those are a pain during summer. But no, I'm excited. It's another experience. And I think I'm sure any coach could tell you this at any sport. Any sport, they could literally tell you that if they get an opportunity to coach, is that it can lead to potential travel situations, right? Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I was in Missouri 2 years ago. I'm here in North Dakota. Before that, I was in California. Yep. And I went to Virginia for a summer, was SoCal. Now I'm going to Canada for a summer.
Yep.
And yeah, it's a job. But getting to do this as my job, I don't consider it work every day because it's something I love doing. And so I think that's the biggest thing. And my mom and dad, they just retired within the last few years and moved to Texas. And they tell me, well, I wish we could have gotten to something like that. Well, they chose to choose the prison system and work that route, and good for them. They were good at it. But there was definitely days where they came home and they were irritated. And I'm like, I don't want that. I want to enjoy going to the office every day and working with hitters and just talking to the guys, mental game, whatever, what's going on with your life. And, it's been good. But no, I'm excited for that opportunity. It's been a good build up, and I know that we got a job to do here first, and we're all focused on that. But I know that once that takes its place in what's the priority, then I know it'll be a good time too. So it'll be fun.
Right on. Yeah, well, I think you're gonna like it. The main thing I think about Canada and the U.S., at least where I'm from, it's pretty similar.
Okay,
it's pretty similar. We have a similar culture, so.
Well, this ketchup chips, by the way,
No, you don't like them. I know.
I opened the bag and I immediately went, "Whoa!"
Yeah, they're good. I like ketchup chips.
But tried them though.
Yes,
I tried them.
You're right.
But
there'll be other things that I think you like more. Off the top of my head, you haven't had a poutine yet.
No, not.
But you're gonna have to have one.
Okay.
Other than that, we'll dive into that. But I'm really excited to do this because I want you to give us. We're about to go on the road here in a couple weeks.
Yep.
JT, we got some baseball to play.
Yep.
Actually, less than 2 weeks. That's weather dependent, and I don't know if you've seen the forecast, but
nope,
it's not looking good.
Okay.
Would love for you to talk about kind of. Obviously, I know we're on the same team here, but what do you see for our season? What are you excited about? And we can go over some matchups that you're excited about. I'll bring the schedule up. Just give us a bit of a season preview here.
Oh, man. Well, obviously, I just worry about the hitting side of things. So, I mean, it was a transition period last year with the offensive philosophy, and, previous coaching staff had theirs, and we kind of came in and kind of flipped it type deal. And it's not a knock on anybody. It's just the preference I have in regards to hitting philosophy. And so last year was kind of that adjustment period. And so the biggest thing that stood out to me was the number of strikeouts last year. And so the first thing of business was, okay, we need to fix this coming into this year. Approach at the plate, the mental aspect, all that stuff, ties into that. And I think that in the short time we've had lives already since being back from winter break, it's been very good to see. And as someone who, like I said, we watch the hitting stuff day to day, it's exciting to see the guys having success and being confident in the box type deal. I mean, Merrick Junker, I told him Saturday after his live, I said, Merrick, this was the best live you've had in the 2 years you've been here. Write about it in your hitting journal and remember these moments that you felt and what you did, because come back to it when you have an off day. Because that's the thing is, example for you, last year, you were on a slump. Yeah, we're bringing it up.
Thank you.
We're bringing it up. Jaden Babiuk did not bat 1,000 last year. But you were in a slump, and you came to me. We need a one-on-one. We got to figure this out. And you just thought about being too perfect and trying to do too much. And then once you said, hey, we're gonna go middle away. Then you went on this little tangent, and there was times where you hit hard balls at people, and it was just like, that's
We laughed
baseball.
about it.
Exactly.
We laughed about it.
Exactly. And then your average shoots up to like a 289 or whatever it was that you finished with, right? So even when you're having good or bad slumps, there's going to be a time in which, hey, how do I get back on track here? So I'm really excited for the guys. They've done a great job. They buy in. They work hard, even with coming back into the gauntlet right away. As soon as they came back from break, guys are getting sick, guys are getting tired right now, but they're going through it. But at the same time, it's not stopping them from showing up and working hard. So I'm excited for just to see kind of that switch of, all right, we had last year flip. Now we have a full year of, hey, we dove into this. How does it look? And we've had several new additions too. And it's not just the guys who were here last year who have gotten better, but the new additions that come in help, and it drives that competition factor internally. If you can't have that competition internally, then it's going to be really tough to keep guys bought in for an entire year. So I think all around it's going to be good for, at least from an offensive standpoint, just how I can evaluate that type deal.
Absolutely. Any particular trips or matchups that you're looking forward to?
Well, I mean, everybody's excited for trip one because it's to start the season, right? And so, like you said, and this breaking news: Jaden Babiuk, weather doesn't look too good next weekend. So,
bring it up for you, too.
Yeah, no, I believe you, but we can't worry about something that's not guaranteed yet. But we'll get there. I'm sure Coach has a plan on how that's going to work on setbacks or whatever. But everybody's excited for game one. We got a 4-game set with Graceland, the season opener, and it's even more particular and exciting this year because in years past, VCSU has had those fall games. So you guys kind of got that out of your system in the fall. This year we didn't have that. So we played those inter squads. There was no fall World Series, so everybody's like antsy to play game one. And Graceland's going to have 4 games under their belt before they play us. They play Columbia twice this week and Dakota Wesleyan. So everybody's going to be excited for game one just to play. Obviously, Florida. Florida was a great time last year. My first time ever being to Florida, and it was a great time. We went to Aquatica. Good call. Shout out Tori Nelson. He brought up the idea of Aquatica last year. So I sat in that lazy river for about 2 or 3 hours of the 7 hours we were there, and I don't regret it one bit. It was amazing. So Florida's great. Competition's great. Anytime you can play baseball, no matter who the opponent is, it's competition. So whether you look low at them or their record's better than yours, it's still someone in your way to get a job done that day. So, and then obviously conference. Jamestown's over this year, so that rivalry is going to be sparked up a little bit more.
That'll be at Charlie Brown Field this year. So
and then hopefully, weather-wise, we get to open up at home this year against Bellevue, which very beatable team. No, shout out to them and their coach staff. They're a good program. Everybody knows that. But very beatable. And our guys, I think, could get it done 1 or 2 times, maybe even 3 this year. And I wouldn't be surprised. We had them on the ropes a couple times last year. So I think that, all this stuff's great. We can look ahead to conference tournament, all this and whatnot. But game one's going to be here before we know it. And then as soon as game one's here, then all of a sudden we're talking about graduation day. Yeah. And that's where it's just crazy.
Game one turns into game 50 really fast.
Exactly.
But yeah, I know we're all excited for it. The weather forecast Saturday, February the 8th is going to be 35 degrees.
Perfect.
And then Sunday is going to be 33 degrees.
Perfect.
Baseball weather right there.
Yeah, why not?
But then Monday, Tuesday's night, it's literally those 2 days. Yeah. Well, Friday, a little snow. Anyways.
Is meteorologist on your...
Yeah, we're doing weather now on this podcast.
Just making sure.
So yeah, that's a great season preview. I mean, this is it. This is my 4th season here. So, I mean, like you said, it's game one and yeah, it goes by quick. And this little lull we have just after the semester where it's just practices, it's like, you're like, oh, when is it going to end? But as soon as it does end, we're going. So, into a bit more of some of the lighter stuff here. Yep. I had a question for you. You kind of answered it, but I'm going to ask it anyways. Favorite restaurant in Valley City?
On the spot again.
Yeah.
This is no disrespect to any of the other ones.
Yeah.
It's just that you're asking me which one's my favorite one, and it's El Valle.
Yeah.
Like I can go in there and get something different all the time, and all of them are good. Bridges is good. Kieran's good. No disrespect again, but El Valle I put at the top. I got to.
Let's go with your favorite travel destination. First one, not a baseball trip.
Okay.
Just a regular JT on vacation trip.
Oh man. I can pick anywhere.
Anywhere you want that you've been to. Don't lie.
That I've been to?
Favorite travel destination. How about we do one you've been to and then a bucket list?
Okay, let's go. That I've been to. It would have had to have been Boston. because
Oh.
we were there during the 4th of July one year.
That would be cool.
It was a baseball trip. Like we went on a no. Let me clarify.
All right.
It wasn't for playing games.
Okay.
It was bucket list. So hand in hand.
Yes.
Number one on my bucket list is to go to a game at every baseball stadium.
Then yes, okay, that's what I meant.
And that was one of our stadiums during that trip. We did the East Coast trip. The Mets, Yankees, Red Sox, Nationals, Orioles. We did that
That's
whole
a
area.
that's not a nice set of parks.
Yes. So did other stuff too on the side. We went to the Arlington Cemetery and whatnot and got to check that out. But anywho, so Fenway, 4th of July, that was
Pretty tight.
crazy
Yep.
because I'm sure people see it YouTube or during 4th of July. It's just one of the better performances that they put on there and shows and whatnot. So, and then bucket list,
Canada.
like, yeah, I mean, it's not bucket list. It's happening, hopefully, still. But I'd probably throw Hawaii on there just because I've never been to Hawaii. I know it's expensive. My mom went. She loved it. It was a great time. I've never been to Hawaii, though, so that would be on there. But I have 13 more ballparks to go to.
Which
so,
ones? Can you name off the top of your head?
Yeah, I got to go to both in Florida.
Okay.
And that's when they're clear across the state from another. So
Right.
that one's where it's like a week in itself. I got to go to Georgia and hit up the Braves.
Right, and that's a new park.
Yep.
Yeah.
Got to hit PNC Park in Pittsburgh, Clementi Bridge, beautiful view at night. I want to go to a night game for that one.
Yeah, I feel like that would be
And I was
the right move.
bummed. The gal who planned this trip for us, she went to there the night before we landed there. I was like, but she got it in.
Did you go to Philadelphia?
I've done Philly. Yep. We've hit
Okay.
the whole Eastern Hemisphere,
Well, that's
if you will.
I'm confused because Philadelphia and Pittsburgh, they're both in Pennsylvania. I'm surprised. So
Yep.
she
did it the night before.
Gotcha. So
yeah.
she ruined the trip.
No.
Oh.
I can't say that. She
Oh.
planned the whole thing.
Okay.
She just happened to go the night before and got to leave work and whatnot a couple days
yeah,
earlier. And it was one of
gotcha.
those like, okay, whatever.
Yeah.
But I would have done the same thing.
Okay, so
type deal.
Pittsburgh, Atlanta, both Florida.
Both Florida.
Yeah,
I got to
4.
go to Arizona. I got to go to Seattle.
Seattle, Toronto.
I got to go to Toronto.
7.
I got to go to both in Texas.
8, 9. So that's Houston and so that's the Globe Life. That'll be a new one
Globe
too.
Life is
It's
one.
9 you're at.
Um,
You're probably done Cali.
Cali's done. Cali was simple. By the way, best ballpark in California, hands down, is Petco Park. It's not even close.
Yeah.
It's not even close.
Angel Stadium's a little boring.
It's
meh.
It's
Okay, so you're at 9, so I'm thinking Colorado. Have you been?
Colorado's another one. Good call. That's 10.
Look at that.
That's 10. I was supposed to go to that one on my birthday and spoil myself for a week, but COVID hit.
Oh.
I didn't get to go on that. So
Well, you'll have to go to Vegas for the new one.
for
But
the
are
new
you
one,
counting that?
I mean, it's
You've been to-
it's a new ballpark,
Right,
but
you-
it's not part of the original 30, right? It's like
You've been to
the-
A's Coliseum.
I've been to Oakland. Now, you go there when it was still a ballpark for the baseball team. You go there for the low cost and concessions.
Yeah.
That's what that was for.
Well, it's
So,
just it's a brick. It's
not-
like this
not
cement.
Ideal. Yes,
yeah.
it's not ideal. I mean, I feel bad for them. They had
Yes.
the Warriors, A's right there, Raiders, and
See
now
you
there's
later.
nobody
Yep.
there. So,
Okay, so we're at 10, right, with Colorado.
oh, Kansas City.
That'd be a good park.
That's another one I got to go to. St. Louis was the 12th.
That's a really good park.
which is crazy
You've
because
been to Target Field, right?
I've been to Target Field a
Okay.
couple times. Beautiful, beautiful field.
Yep. That's the only one I've been to. So I'm still the 29 behind you.
Oh, some catching up to do.
Yeah.
Which is the St. Louis one's kind of crazy because I was just in Missouri 2 years ago, but I didn't have a car when I was there, so that's why I wasn't able to hit up Busch Stadium at the time. But
So we're working with one more here.
who is it? Oh, now I'm
Come on.
Arizona. No, we said Coors. We said
I'm trying to think.
Georgia.
You said Seattle.
Yep.
Gosh.
Yeah, I'm gonna miss it.
No, we're not. We're not going to miss it.
Unless I've been to 18 and I just thought I was at 17 the whole time.
No.
I was looking it up.
Yeah, I am. Because
During this time, we'll do a weather update.
Yeah. In Oklahoma. Okay, how about Cleveland?
That's it. Progressive.
I literally just...
Right up the rip. Good job.
You've been to Cincinnati?
Been to Cincinnati.
Okay.
Yeah, my friend, the gal who planned the trip, there's those photos, the cardboard, not cardboard, but wood cutouts where you put your head in and take a photo. She got her head stuck in that.
Oh.
So I have a video on Facebook still because I Facebook lived it for everybody to see, and I sent it to her.
For going to PNC
Yeah,
early.
there you go. Exactly. But it was just scenes for sure.
Right on. Well, we're gonna have to continue to follow that journey.
Yes, yes.
Obviously, this summer you might not be able to get to any,
Nope,
but
totally fine.
You'll be fine with that.
Yep.
Before we go, I have one more question for you.
Yep.
Actually, you know what? Let's make it two.
Okay.
Let's start with a message to other coaches or players that want to start exploring coaching from you. What would you say to those people?
It's funny you asked that. I just spoke to someone about how they're applying for a grad assistant position once they graduate here as a grad assistant. And the biggest thing I told them was communication is key. Even if you don't agree, there's still a way you can bring it forward to that individual without it being rude, disrespectful, or other. But if you can't have communication amongst your quote-unquote staff, that's going to hinder a lot for you. Plus, it gives you clarity as a grad assistant coach, whatever, understanding what your role is and whatnot, what you bring to the table, and what's expected of you to get done on a day-to-day basis. So I think anybody that's wanting to dive into that, you have to be open to learning as well. Just because you're a quote assistant coach, head coach, whatever your title is as a coach, it doesn't mean you get to stop learning. You have to be receptive to adapting is the word I like to use. Every roster is different than the year before. You could have most of the same players, but you have to adapt to what new tendencies have been brought in or left and fulfill those voids. So being able to adapt and communicate, and the biggest one of them all, and it'll be just fine as long as these two happen, is just enjoying it and having fun. Again, if you don't enjoy what you're doing, why are you doing it? The money will happen. Whatever you choose to do in life, money will be there. You'll get paid, right? But is that paycheck really worth it if you're not enjoying it, doing it on the day in and day out? So the communication part, backpacking off that, is just understanding who you're working with. Your players, your coaches, administrators. Just having that rapport. Because example for us, I talked about Melissa, Kayleen, all those guys, Shannon, Bass, Erin and her team. They don't work for us. We work for them, so the understanding of, hey, what do you need from us when this recruit comes in and schedules a tour with you guys, Erin or Brady or Tony or Oscar, whoever. Shannon, what do you need from this international student in regards to transcripts? What do you need? Not, we need this from you. No. Working cohesively and understanding that, hey, we're both here to help each other to make sure that your experience as a student is what you're wanting and what you were told you were going to get and what sold you to come here, if that makes sense. So communication, adaptability, having fun. Those would be the three things for sure.
Right on. And my last question for you, because I got class in 12 minutes, is just a minute pitch of just like to anybody coming to VCSU, what would you say to get them here?
They're going to get straight up directness, if that makes sense, honesty, and it's not to be a jerk. It's just I feel like I'd be doing you a disservice if I lied to you or was not fully honest with you in what was being provided to you from an athletic standpoint. Academic standpoint, there's a reason why we're top in the state consistently and in the region. The numbers supersede themselves, and 90% of the time we offer the degree you're wanting. So let's have that conversation with the necessary people you need to have with. Student to staff ratio is great. You get to know your teachers get to know you. It's huge. And then as far as social life, it's here. Like even if it may be a smaller city, there's enough for you to enjoy the social life of things as well. I mean, you guys are a tight-knit group. You guys make it work, and I'm sure all the other sports and even if they're not student or if they're not athletes, still have their ways of going about their social life. So it's a great, if you're okay with a cold, it's totally fine, affordable, and it's easy to adapt to for sure. So it's been fun here.
Right on. That was about exactly a minute. I was watching the clock, so you did a really good job. That's commercial material there.
Paul, call me.
Well, JT, you're a busy man. I know you got some stuff to do, and as do I. So appreciate you coming on the podcast, and looking forward to the seasons with you.
Yeah. Thanks for having me, and we'll see you at Hitting today.
Thank you for watching. Yeah. And team defense and our team meeting.
Yeah, we got a lot today. Let's go. Let's go.
Right on. Well, thank you, JT, and this has been another episode of the Viking Voices podcast.